Alright guys, so if you've ever noticed on the packaging of products, whether it be headphones, earbuds, or even a box of cereal, you'll notice that the picture of the actual item is usually larger than what you're getting. And in most cases, it even says in writing that it's enlarged to show texture, or the image is not the actual size of the product. And so that's what made the product we're checking out today, which is the brand new Soul S-Nano, kind of interesting, because when you look at the box, the product is very tiny, but right next to it, it even says that this is a 1-for-1 actual replication of what the size of the product is. So if you see that I have the case here and I can actually put it on the box and put it next to it, it really is as tiny as the picture on the box. And so the reason I think this product stands out is because I see a lot of times in the comments that people want something small. They want a smaller case, they want smaller earbuds, because it fits a lot of different needs. If you're gonna go to the gym, or if you wanna attach it to your kid's backpack, or even your own bag, and you don't want this large case to put in your pocket, having something this tiny actually is kind of convenient. But we need to check out some of the other features. We need to see what all comes inside the box and see if it's actually worth the $70 price tag. Now let's go ahead and start with the fact that in typical Soul fashion, you can actually pick these up in 6 different colors. Now I have the black version here, which I actually prefer. I don't like to have things that just stand out and draw a lot of attention. But if you are somebody like that, or you just have a specific color that you like, they do have these available in blue, peach, lime, yellow, and frost. So it's nice that these have these options, but again, I'm glad that I have the black version here. Now, as far as some of the technology that these have, they do have Bluetooth 5.0, and they also have AAC and SBC playback. I also didn't have any connection or dropout issues. And as far as using these with movies, videos, and gaming and things like that, I didn't have any kind of lag, except when it came to gaming, where there is a slight lag. And I still think when a company can create an earbud that has just no lag with gaming at all, they're gonna have a product that just sells like crazy. I haven't seen any pair that can do that yet. But again, this is a pair that you can still use for all your other types of media without having any issues. Now, as far as using these outdoors, they do come in rated at IPX5. So if you are somebody that sweats heavily, or if you're out using them and it starts to rain, or they get splashed on by the pool, you don't have to worry. But you do have to make sure you don't submerge these into water. Now, as far as some of the things they've included in the box, it does come with the usual small, medium, and large silicone ear tips. And one thing that I thought was really comical is Soul always adds a carabiner in with their products. That way you can clip them onto a bag or clip them onto like a belt loop. The carabiner is actually bigger than the case on these. So it kind of looks funny, but it does also just kind of make it look like a small accessory and not really stand out as much as some of the other larger cases. So I think a lot of people are going to appreciate this, and I found myself really liking just clipping this to my backpack and seeing that it really didn't stand out. Now, as far as anything else in the box, they do include a USB-C cable. And speaking of the charging cable, battery life is actually pretty decent, especially given the size of the product, because on the earbuds themselves, you're gonna get around 5.5 hours, where with this tiny charging case, you're still gonna get around 24 hours total. So 5.5 hours is gonna get most people through a day, but that 24 hours on a case will easily get most people through a week. But one thing I do want to point out about the charging that I wish that these had is the case is not a Qi wireless charging case, and it actually doesn't have a fast charge feature, which is kind of odd considering that on the back of the box it says this is a fast charging case. So I don't know if it just means a fast charge to get, to a full battery life, but this isn't one of those pairs where a 10 or 15 minute charge will get you an hour or 2 hours worth of use. So do keep that in mind, and that it's still a feature I wish that these had. But moving over to looking at the case itself, again, you can't look at this and not realize how tiny it is. You can see that it has a little fabric loop on the side. Now this is where the carabiner clip goes. On the back, you can see the USB-C input for charging, and then there is a tiny indicator light. That way you can kind of see how much battery life is left on the case. Now, as far as branding goes, you can see the Soul logo on the outside, and then you can see the Soul logo on top. Now, it's located in a glossy area, and this glossy material gets scratched easily. I haven't really handled these much at all, and I already have some noticeable scratches on these, so do keep in mind if you're going to throw these in your pocket or a bag, that area is likely to get scratched up. Now, when you open up the lid, you can see that the earbuds are taking up pretty much the whole space. The earbuds design does replicate the case itself because it is a matte material where it is a glossy area where your touch controls are located. And as far as the touch controls, one thing I do want to point out is because these earbuds are so small, if you go to adjust the earbuds or move them around a little bit, you're going to likely hit the touch controls by accident. So it will pause your music or play your music or just do something you're not really intending it to do. But the plus here is because they're so tiny and they don't weigh anything, they're not really moving. So you're not really going to find yourself adjusting these that much. So it may not even be an issue. But speaking of the touch controls, these do give you control over everything. So on top of having your normal play, pause, skipping your tracks forward, going backwards, and volume control, it also allows you to switch between the two different sound modes. So you can listen to these in a normal sound mode, or you can switch it into a transparency mode. So again, if you're gonna use these outdoors and you need to hear traffic around you, or you just wanna hear somebody around you and carry on a conversation, I'd really like the fact that it has this mode. Now, I think the transparency mode works really well, but I do wanna point out that it does sound a little digital and a little artificial. So do keep in mind that it doesn't make your surroundings sound completely natural, but again, it's nice that you can even hear your surroundings. Now, as far as the microphones themselves on these, if you're gonna use these for phone calls, I think they do a very good job. Again, you can tell that there is a little bit of a digital sound, but for phone calls, I don't think anybody will have any complaints. But you guys can be a judge by listening to a test here. All right, guys, so here is a mic test using the Soul S-Nano. Again, I think it does a very good job of picking up my voice other than the little bit of digital noise, but this is what it would sound like if you were to take a call. And so now here is the mic test with a crowd noise being played, which you can hear here. And so this is what it would sound like if you were to take a call in public. So now let's talk about the sound, because honestly, I went into these kind of expecting a certain sound signature because of how small they were. I thought they would be leaning a little bit more towards treble and the clarity of the mids and the highs, and probably not produce a whole lot of bass. But I was really surprised that there is a lot of bass in this tiny pair of earbuds. It just has so much kick to it. There's a lot of emphasis on the bass, but the plus here is they didn't allow it to just roll over your mids and the highs. I think the treble is very nice and clean. I even think they pushed it right up to the point of being bright, which I prefer, especially if I'm gonna have bass that's this powerful. But the one area I maybe would change a little bit is I would like to see a slight boost in the mids, because when I have a sound that's this dynamic, where there's a lot of focus on the bass and a lot of focus on the treble, I like for my vocalists to also sound like they're more up front. Now, I don't feel like the mids get lost in anything, and I do think this is one of those pairs that you can just use for all genres. The only ones I wouldn't maybe recommend these for is if you listen to classical or easy listening or maybe country, where there's not a lot of emphasis on the low end. And I feel like there's other earbuds that cater more to those genres. But if you're gonna listen to hip hop, you're gonna listen to pop, or even metal, I think these are fast enough to keep up with metal and still let you feel the impact of drums and the double bass. That I was just really pleased with all the genres that I checked these out with. Now, this is not as open as some other earbuds that I've heard, but it still left me feeling like I was in a large room, and I had no issues with being able to tell where sounds were coming from. So I was completely surprised at what these tiny earbuds were capable of. But again, I do still need to go back to some of the cons. I really got aggravated sometimes if I needed to adjust my earbuds and I accidentally tapped the controls. And I would have liked to have seen a Qi wireless charging case, or at least a fast charge feature in these. But outside of that, where these stand out is getting something that has this powerful of a sound in this tiny of a footprint. I mean, this is small enough to throw in anybody's pocket or clip on any bag, and it just looked like this tiny accessory. I think the only type of person I maybe would not recommend these to is an audio purist, because there is so much emphasis on the low end and also in the treble. This is not a flat sounding earbud, but you can tell that's not what it's intended to do. But guys, that's my video on the brand new Soul S-Nano. Thank you so much for checking out this video. Thank you so much for checking out all the other videos. And as always, make sure to stay tuned for more.